When you think of Nashville, you probably picture Broadway, neon lights, live music, and hot chicken. But what if I told you there is a whole nother part of Nashville that most people don't know about? It's the part of Nashville that the locals love. From the hidden gems to the incredible food to the off the beaten path music venues. Most people have never heard of these places, but today I have a guest on who is a local from Nashville that will share some of the secrets. Jacob, what's one Nashville spot you never tell a tourist about, but you'll share with us today?
Okay, my favorite bar in all of Nashville is a place called Pearl Diver. And it's not like completely off the beaten path, and it's not like you can't find it, but it's my favorite little spot. It's a dive bar, great music, great drinks, just great atmosphere. It feels, I don't know, you feel welcomed when you're there.
That sounds like the place I want to go check out. And today's guest is going to give us some of the secrets that he knows in Nashville and the area. My name's Patti Hunt. You're listening to Inspired Travels with Patti. I was a full-time RVer for over 3 years, did some international travels, and I love exploring new places. And I've created this channel to help you explore, whether it's in your own neighborhood, across the country, or around the world. For me, travel isn't about where you go. It's also about how you live and really being in a place where you could find the hidden gems as well as those bucket list places and explore, have experiences that you never expected to have, and the people you meet, all of which helps you build memories that last a lifetime. I want to welcome Jacob Gooden. He lives in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, with his wife, Maddie. And they are my editor and producers of this podcast. So I've known Jacob for almost 2 years. He has been instrumental in helping me create this podcast and has just been so supportive. He's also the host of the Ex Homeschoolers Club podcast. And we're going to learn more about him. Welcome, Jacob, to Inspired Travels with Patti.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Patty. It's so great to be here. And yeah, Maddie and I love working with you. So one of our favorites, one of our favorite clients.
Oh, thank you. Because not only, I choose to believe Jacob just works with me and helps me on the podcast. I'm calling Jacob, messaging him whenever I have an issue, but he does have a lot of other clients that he works with. So I know I have to share you with people. But so Jacob, tell my listeners more about you. Give us a little bit. I know you're originally from California.
Yeah, so I grew up in California and yeah, born and raised. And when I was 18, I moved to Southern Illinois for college. And that was the first I had ever lived in a different state. I had obviously like traveled a little bit as a kid, but California is such a massive state that you can drive all day and still be inside of California. And so Illinois was like the first where I was like, oh, I'm not that far from Kentucky. And I was right over the border from Missouri. I was like right on that. St. Louis was 45 minutes away, kind of a thing. And yeah, it kind of gave me just a new perspective of the world, and that it was like, it was a lot smaller than I kind of thought it was in a lot of regards. And then after college, I wanted to work in the music industry, and so moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And Nashville has been great because not only is like the food great here, the music's great, all those things, but we're so close to other states. I can easily go up to Kentucky, go down to Alabama, Georgia. It's not that hard to get around, and it doesn't take that long. So I'm definitely learning to be much more adventurous with going outside of like my comfort zone. Living here.
So how long have you been in Nashville?
I just celebrated 7 years, I want to say.
And it's great to have you on the podcast so you could share the things that you've learned. I hope the people in Nashville aren't angry at you for sharing the secrets, but we are going to pull out of you as much as possible to get people to want to visit Nashville and the things they could see there. Now, you said you went to Nashville because you were in involved with music, I guess that's the place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of the hub of music, right? Everyone thinks that when they think of the movies, they think of LA music. A lot of people think of Nashville. And so, yeah, moved here, wanted to do that. Didn't end up doing that. Started working in podcasting. And funny enough, none of my podcasting clients have ever been based out of Nashville. So, like, they're everywhere else in the world, which I find so funny. But it also kind of frees me up to travel and go visit them and see their parts of the world as well.
Right. And so you said you've done some travel, and I know over the 2 years that I've known you, I've inspired you to do travel and maybe check out. I had you at an event where it was an RV event, and so you're like, maybe that's the way to go. What are some things you think you're thinking of that you have traveled? So what are some of the things you're thinking you might want to do? What's on your, I see, let's talk about bucket list a minute because a bucket list I
Yeah.
think is something people have. It's those big items. I want to call it a life list. So what's on your list?
So I want to finish out all 50 states. I've done, if you draw a line straight up and down from Tennessee in the United States, everything west, aside from Kansas, I've been to every one of those states. And when I say I've been to all those states, I've been in them. I've gotten out of my car. I've put 2 feet on the ground, but I haven't necessarily like stayed there. It's been some of them have been very brief, maybe an hour or two, kind of a thing. But I'm working on the East Coast now, so that's like one of the big next steps for me is finishing out the East Coast. I'm slowly checking things off. I've hit both the Carolinas. I've been to Massachusetts a couple times now, down to Florida twice. So like slowly but surely getting all those done, as well as all the southern states done. Bigger goals, I would like to I would like to go overseas and I want to go to Denmark. You know this, Patty, but like I'm kind of a little bit of a Lego nerd. I got my first Lego set when I turned 1. I'm 29 now, and I have always it's just peaceful. It's therapeutic for me. It's like a fun little hobby to do, and the home of Lego is in Denmark. So I want to go and see their headquarters and experience it, and we'll see. Overseas, there's everywhere I want to go. Like I want to go to Germany and I want to go to England and I want to, Italy, like all those places, just like pretty much everyone else in the world. I want to go see all of it. But Denmark is like top of the list for me.
Well, you said so much that I have to respond to. First of all, did not know Lego was in Denmark. I didn't know their manufacturing or their company is based in Denmark. That's interesting. My family is very, very into Legos and not just my grandkids. My brother actually built the huge Disney Lego castle, which I don't even know how many
Yeah.
pieces. It's absolutely amazing. My son-in-law, my son, my daughter-in-law, like so many people are into Legos. I think they're really cool. And I like what you said, they're therapeutic. So Denver, talking about the East Coast, I'm outside of Philadelphia. So when you're ready to come here, I will show you all the hidden gems. And for my listeners, I will have to do an episode talking with somebody about the hidden gems in and around Philadelphia. Obviously, there's the things we talk about all the time. International travel, yes, I agree, something I want to do. And again, it's on my life list instead of bucket list. It just seems like something people talk about but don't necessarily do. I'm putting on my life list a lot of the things that you have said. You mentioned Italy. That's a huge one for me. I definitely have a goal and plan on getting there, hopefully sooner than later. Again, this podcast was created to inspire people to get out and travel. And if that's just something small in your neighborhood, that's a great first step. And then the plans of doing things around the world. So, okay, well, let's get back to Nashville. Let's talk about Nashville. Let's break it down. So, I'm always about the food. I know there are some people that live to eat or people that eat to live. I'm one of those people that eats to that lives to eat. I love food, but I got to say I don't like spicy food. So I'm not sure if Nashville does the spicy. Tell us about some of the favorite foods, restaurants. Let's just get into it.
you said you don't like spicy, but I'm gonna start by talking about hot chicken because that's like Nashville staple. It took me a few years when I first got here to actually like try it, and I can handle heat. I grew up eating a lot of Mexican food, Southern California. Like I can do heat, but I do heat in a way that like it's still got to be flavorful. Nashville hot is like it will melt your face off. And I,
Okay, melt your face
I
off.
I have yeah I've taken my brother-in-law to go get it. He like literally watched this man cry. I have cried eating Nashville hot chicken. It's like it hurts you to eat. That being said, it's tiered, so you can go from a very mild hot Nashville hot chicken to like the extreme. And so I always tell people if they want to try it, I think it's worth the try because it is really good. Um, but I always tell people, whatever you think you can handle, go one step below that or two and thank me later. But Hattie B's is like the go-to hot chicken in Nashville. I think it's good. A lot of people also talk about Prince's hot chicken. That's kind of the competition for who started it. The stories behind those are very interesting. There's like spouses cheating on each other and trying to kill each other with hot chicken. That's like one of the one of the things. But yeah. So Nashville hot chicken, a definite try if you're into spicy. And if you're not into spicy, they always have something that's mild for you as well.
Well, so it's funny. And for people who are listening on the podcast, you could also see my reaction and my faces that I'm making on the YouTube channel. Inspired Travels with Patty is on YouTube, so you could see us. I don't do spice at all. I was just at the Hershey RV show. I was at an event and they were serving Mexican. And there was a guy in front of me, and I said, "Do you think this is spicy?" There was chicken and beef. "Do you think it's spicy?" And he said, "Well, taste it." And so he put some on his plate. He tasted it. He said, "No, it's not really spicy." And I was like, I'm talking white girl spicy. Like, I don't do
Yeah.
any spicy. So I'm not sure about the chicken, but a lot of times they'll have something that's more on the sweet side. I guess I'd say I'm willing to try. So when I come down there to visit you, I'll try some hot chicken.
We're also known for barbecue as well. That's a big one here. What's interesting is that typically when you go places, there's like a very particular style of barbecue. You go to Texas, Texas barbecue, right? Same with like Arkansas. There's South Carolina, they're known for a very particular type of barbecue. Tennessee is this weird mix of kind of all of it because a lot of the barbecue places are not like the guys who run them, the pit masters, are coming from other states. So I worked at a barbecue restaurant. Our pit master was based out of Colorado. So he did a very like Texas style brisket and other things, a very dry rub thing. But people like it saucy. There's a good mix. There's hogwood to Edley's to Martin's. There's Peg Leg Porker is also here. Like you're not really gonna go wrong with any of them. But I would say do your research on like what kind of barbecue you like, and then find the spot that fits that style best for you. Because yeah, because I know a couple people who come and they're disappointed because they're just like, well, I expect saucy barbecue, and then they go to a dry rub place. It's like, well, set your expectations correct. That's that's I guess what I got to say there.
I was in Kentucky this summer and we went to a barbecue place. And I like barbecue, but again, sometimes it's spicy. So I asked for the sauce on the side. It was a sweet barbecue. It was very good. It was near Red River Gorge, and I'll put in the show notes for people that are going to be in Kentucky. Okay, so other types of foods, drink, other local.
Yeah, I mean, we have so much. So, I mean, whatever you're looking for, we've got something to offer because, I mean, from one, I love, there's a restaurant here called Sunda. It's Filipino food and Asian cuisine. Absolutely phenomenal. I know the owner and one of their head chefs, like, they do an incredible spread. It's pretty authentic. There are some Americanized versions of things, but it's really good. Worth a try. You've also got like your southern staples, right? Like you want like a meat and three, like there's Loveless Café, there's Biscuit Love, right? You get biscuits and gravy, you got your country breakfast. Like those places are great. And if you're coming to visit, like a lot of people, that's what they want, right? They want that southern cooking. So we also have a ton of places like that. Like I said, Biscuit Love, top tier biscuits, some of the best. Loveless Cafe, again, some of the best little country food, a great experience. Loveless Cafe is already on the kind of the map as far as like tourists will go there typically, but it's well worth it. It's actually like it's there for a reason. It's actually very good. And it's more than just a restaurant. They have a little country store and they have some other little things that you can go explore while you're there. They do barbecue there as well. Like it is it's a great restaurant. It's very worth the wait. It's very worth scheduling and taking the time to drive. It's on the east side. You gotta trek out there a little bit, but it's worth it. Just trust me.
You're mentioning a lot of names of restaurants for people who are just listening to the podcast. Everything will be in the show notes. So all of these places will be mentioned there. So you don't have to take notes. Um, Coffee shops. I know you have a coffee story because you weren't a coffee drinker. So let's
Nope.
talk about coffee. First of all, how you became a coffee drinker, and are there any great coffee shops?
I just didn't grow up drinking coffee in high school. Like it just wasn't a thing. And then I got to college and I don't know, call it like the rebellious in me. I just was like, everyone talks about how they're reliant on caffeine in college. And I was just like, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I didn't really drink a whole lot of coffee, didn't really like it. And then when I got out of college, I had to move home for a little while. And so I worked at a coffee shop just because I was like, I need a little bit of money, but I don't want to work extremely hard. And one of the stipulations of working there was, well, you gotta drink coffee because you gotta know how to sell it, right?
Right.
And that it's funny enough. When I worked in the barbecue industry, I was vegan when I went into it. Same kind of deal. They were like, you gotta eat it so you know how to like sell it to the people. Anyway, so yeah, fell in love with coffee slowly but surely to the point where like it starts with the super sweet drinks. So you're drinking a mocha and a latte and all those types of things down to, I'm like, I walk into a coffee shop now, I'm like, give me a cappuccino, give me a shot of espresso. Like, I want no sweetener in it. I just want straight coffee. So coffee shops in Nashville, kind of all over the place. We've got quite the mix. My favorites. Oh man, that's a tough question. I like Honest Roasters. That's a really good one. They have some great coffee there. There's LG Coffee. That's really good as well. I'm trying to think. Biscuit Love is a great coffee shop as well. So not only you get a good biscuit, you get a good cup of coffee in the morning. Loveless Cafe, even though they don't have like a cafe bar portion of it, it's just a good cup of Joe. So if you're just a black coffee drinker, you want it in like a mug, or even if it's just like a little cream and sugar, like it's I gotta say, I gotta hand it to them. They whatever they're doing, and I'm sure I don't know. It could literally just be Folgers and like a big industrial thing. Like whatever they're doing, the magic sauce in that is phenomenal.
Right.
Um, so there's that. You've got. I'm trying to think what else. Stay Golden is another place. They've got great coffee. Um, some that I would steer clear of, like, and I hate to be negative about places, but I'm Barista Parlor, not super great. Red Bicycle Coffee, not super great. Steer clear of those. Those are fan favorites for a lot of tourists and people. They're just not my cup. They're not my
Right.
cup of coffee, you know?
Yeah, and I think different things for different people. For me,
Yeah.
a mocha is what I do. You want to talk about super sweet? It's for those of you who don't know, it's a cappuccino with chocolate in it, and that's how I start my morning. Now, I put collagen in it, so I have protein, so it is a complete, it's got everything I need to start my morning. We could talk about that in another time, but when I come to an area, I want to make sure there's the coffee shops. So let's switch gears. I know in Tennessee there are a lot of breweries. What's what's the big drink alcohol type things in Tennessee? I'm not even sure. I'm not a big drinker.
Whiskey.
Whiskey,
Tennessee
let's get
whiskey.
that. Okay,
That's
right, right.
whiskey and moonshine are like the big as far as liquor goes, that's what we're known for. Obviously Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey. They label themselves as they're I think like the longest running whiskey company potentially. Um, if not they're one of the biggest ones for sure. Any drink you ever see that has Jack Daniels on it, that product has at some point gone through their factory. And their distillery is an hour or two outside of Nashville. So if you're in the area and you want to go tour their factory, it is a really cool experience. I've done it. I always recommend to people anytime you do distillery tour in general, I like to go like middle or top range of their tours. The reason why is when you get to the tasting portion, they're going to give you the good stuff. Um, the cheaper tours still great, but you're just going to drink the average everyday stuff that you're going to buy at the grocery store anyways. or the liquor store. So yeah, those top tier ones, you're getting the single barrel distills, that kind of a thing. But it's a cool experience. But I actually prefer. There's another distillery in Nashville, and this is actually downtown. It's called Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Really cool family history, a very cool tour. They walk you through the people who founded it were immigrants to the United States, very much like American Dream story of them coming here, building an empire, kind of losing it in Prohibition, and this story of or this history of their family kind of getting lost for generations, and their grandsons eventually learning about it and deciding to bring that company back and bring back arguably OG Tennessee whiskey, the original stuff. And so a very cool experience, really good whiskey. I think it's my favorite, to be quite honest. Super sweet, very smooth to drink. But they have a really cool tour, great restaurant there as well to grab lunch. That's a newer thing I didn't even think of when we were talking about restaurants. But yeah, that's a great tour. And it's downtown. And you can, a lot of distillery tours and things, you can take kids on as well. That's something I did want to mention. Obviously, they can't drink. I'm going to be honest, I've been on a number of distillery tours at this point. I don't think kids are going to find it all that interesting, unless they're very much into like heavy machinery and understanding like the whole process, because the distilling process is fascinating. So there's that. You also brought up breweries. There are a lot of breweries here. A couple of my favorites I really like are Yazoo is a big one here. They have a beer called Dos Perros, which very good. Like it a lot. I don't know if they do a tour of their facility, but they do have some tap rooms around town. Been to a couple of them. Haven't had a bad experience at any of them. Tailgate Brewery, another great spot. They have good beer, good pizza, good vibes. Always have a nice patio outside. They do live events. They do fun events, like the local one down the street from us. Trivia every Monday night. Super fun. You got like the regular crowd that goes and does that. It's always a blast. You make new friends that way. And I'm trying to think. There was one other. Black Abbey is another beer company. They do a tour of their facility. Done that. That's fun. Once you do one, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of all start to feel similar. But but if that's your thing, I mean, hey.
There's tons of it, sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you brought up to like Kentucky earlier. Kentucky is known as the Bourbon Trail, and so bourbon and whiskey a little bit different. I don't 100% know why, but but they are different. The process is slightly different. So yeah, the Bourbon Trail is not super far from us either. So if you want to go up into Kentucky and hit up all the other big brands, that's where they are.
Right. When I was in Kentucky, I did a video, which I've got to send to you so you can edit, on Moonshine, which is what they start with when they make whiskey, I think. So I think that's the way
It's
it
a very
works.
similar process, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause- so basically, when you pull it off the still, which it's funny to think about, like if you know nothing about distilling, like Google a picture of a still. It looks like a gigantic like kettle, basically, and the way it works is you're evaporating the alcohol, and it's creating condensation, and then that's what they're pulling off of it. Anyway, what's interesting is that as you pull off different portions of it, some of it gets thrown away because it's toxic. We can't use it. And then there's different like levels to it. And so moonshine is like, I think somewhere in that level. It also has to do with the grains that are mixed together when you're distilling it, and percentages and that kind of a thing. But yeah, there's like these different levels. So there's even whiskeys that are, or bourbons that are like almost clear. They look more like a tequila, and they taste more like a tequila, but it's just kind of like an earlier stage of the whiskey pull.
Wow, great information that I did not know. And for those listening to the podcast, like we're just going in directions. There's nothing set here. So that's great information. Let's talk a little bit about the music and the culture, because obviously that's a big part of Nashville. When I was there last year, we were there actually together a year ago, this past summer. And I went into Nashville, into the city, and there was a restaurant that also had a magic show. And then there were magicians set up, and you can stand around a table. It was really a cool place. But for those people that don't want to go into the city, obviously there's a lot of culture and music within the city. Most people know about that. But what are some of the other things, the secrets that people might not know about?
So most bars and most restaurants will at some point do live music. I always like if you find somewhere you want to go, I always recommend looking at like their calendars and seeing. So for instance, there's Arrington Vineyards, which is not far outside of Nashville, maybe 20 minutes from like the downtown area. And during the summers, I don't know fully the span, but they do every weekend they do jazz concerts. And so you could get a glass of wine outside of this beautiful vineyard, listen to some jazz, hang out with your friends. There's picnic tables. You can bring food, or they have some things that you can get there to bring in food trucks. Again, family friendly environment as well. They have, I think they're even pet friendly, possibly. Don't quote me on that. Double check for yourself. Do your own research. But a very cool like environment to like hang out in. Like I said, most of the restaurants will do music. Even like the airport, if you walk through the airport, like there's live music going on at the airport, which is super unique. Anywhere downtown Broadway, of course, like the major street, lots of live music. But as far as venues go, I think there's a couple that I think are worth checking out. There's the Ryman Auditorium, which is a historic building in downtown Nashville. It it's worth the visit, and it's worth going to see a concert there if you can, and if somebody's playing that you're interested in. Very cool experience. It's kind of got this. I tell people, I'm like, it's kind of a little bit like a religious experience, and sometimes that turns people off to it. But I'm like, there's a balcony, and I don't know how else to describe it. But music's one of those things, I don't know. It brings out something in me that's just like, it's a binding moment for humanity, in my opinion. And so, anyway, that I could go on a long rant about that, but that's a great venue. There's also the Opry, and the Opry is historical. It's one of if you if you ever listen to country stars talk about like when they feel like they made it, a lot of times they'll say when I performed at the Opry. And what's cool about the Opry is one, historic building. Again, they have these country musicians, but also just pop and rock and all these other musicians, folk musicians, all come and they present them. And it's a night at the Opry presented with so and so. What's interesting about the Opry is it's a live radio show. So you can listen to the shows that are happening at the Opry. I don't know if they do a live stream, but they, like a video live stream, but they do variety shows. They do during the holidays, they've got Christmas shows, all that kind of a thing. But it's really cool because when you're there as in the audience, you're experiencing essentially like a live radio show happening. So they're doing ad placements and they're doing, they're shouting out, special guests or whatever. It's a cool experience. The one that I went to was not my cup of tea, but again, if somebody that you like is playing, like I think it's totally worth going. They do tours of the place. They talk about the whole history of it. It's tied to the Gaylord Opryland Hotel, so that's there as well as Opry Mills, the mall. Two other places you could stop in if you're visiting. Again, big touristy attractions. If you're not familiar with like Gaylord Opry hotels, they're massive. This one has a river in the middle of it. Once you've seen it, you kind of seen it. Like it's not really a whole lot of reason to go back, but but I have when people come to town, sometimes they're like, I need to see it, so we'll go.
Okay, let's talk about, so, again, I traveled in an RV for 3 years. I've also traveled other ways, go to a hotel. Let's talk about some of the, are there trails? Like, let's talk about getting out in nature in the Nashville area. What is there for people to do once they've eaten, they've listened to the music, they've had some things to drink? How are they working it off, or what other things are there to do?
Absolutely. I mean, we got tons of trails here in national parks. There's one, weirdly enough, it's not downtown, but it's in Brentwood, which is technically right outside of Nashville. It's still part of the same county, but in Brentwood, I'm spacing on the name, but I'll make sure that we put it in the show notes. But it's a little, not a pond. What's bigger than a pond? A lake. It's a lake,
Okay.
and it's got a nice
Body of water.
yeah, a nice body of water. And they have a trail that goes around it. It's not a super arduous hike or anything like that, but it's a nice little path to go. Like, I mean, my wife and I'll go. We'll get a coffee. We'll just walk around early in the morning, and it's fun. You run into people on the trail and things like that. But it's also an easy hike, which like I'm not much of an arduous like I don't want to scale the side of a mountain kind of a person. But it's pretty level, little bit of an incline at some points, but overall very easy. Big pathways. A lot of it is paved, but there are some dirt trails attached to it. As far as some of the other things, I do know that there's some waterfalls and things like outside. As you head out 20 to 45 minutes outside of the city, you've got some bigger like waterfalls and some of those harder hikes, if you will, right? They're gonna have a little bit more of an incline. Um, I'm not. That's not much of my cup of tea. So I know that they exist. The thing to keep in mind is like Nashville's technically in a basin, right? So we are like in the bottom of this thing. So any direction you go, you're going to hit mountains. As you head more east in Tennessee and head Chattanooga, Knoxville area, that's you're going to hit a lot more of like the Smoky Mountains and a lot more of that like natural beauty kind of stuff. Not that that doesn't exist around Nashville too, but it you're gonna just see it's a very different. It's almost like a different state. To be quite
Mhm.
honest, you're gonna hit much more of that like mountainous range. But that's also not to say there's also a lot of things in Nashville that if you do want to be physically active, the zoo is a great opportunity for that. Andrew Jackson Hermitage, you could go visit the president's home, right, and walk around and experience it. It's massive acres and acres of land with houses and slave quarters and all these other buildings that you can go check out. Um, you've got walking tours, like not only of downtown Nashville, but if you head south a little bit into Franklin, like you could do walking tours of historic downtown Franklin. So there are like a lot of physical activities still to do kind of in the area.
Right. And yeah, I think there's the city when we talk about Nashville, the city, and I was down there when I was there a little over a year ago. I was like, wow, it is really crowded, only to realize that the CMAs were there that particular
Yes.
weekend. I don't know what I was thinking, but it is a beautiful area to walk around in. And then, I love doing those things, being inside this little cities or the not so little, but the city or the little towns, but then getting out and having those areas that I can take a walk or a hike, whatever that looks like. So it sounds like there's a lot of that in and around Nashville and within 30, 40 miles from there. So that's great. And I'm sure within the parks, there are campgrounds for those of my listeners who are RVers, however they go about finding their campgrounds. I'm sure there are areas to stay and then drive in to the city. Can't take an
Yeah.
RV, big RV to
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
I would
no,
not bring an
don't.
RV downtown as
Yeah,
much as you can if you've
don't
got
do that. Right.
uh, a vehicle, a smaller vehicle with you, or get an Uber or
Get
something
an
like that.
yes, especially if you're going to go partake in the whiskey, bourbon, whatever it is you're going to have,
Yep.
then you want to be able to Uber. Okay, so are there any other unique things? You've covered a lot of it. Any other unique things you want to talk about or some
Yeah.
insider tips of navigating? Let's talk about insider tips of navigating Nashville and the Nashville area. Good times of the year to be there, times of the year that people shouldn't be there.
I think so. I love fall and spring just because I think the weather is the best. I would argue that fall is probably it's you're gonna probably fight some peak season traffic with it, but you're gonna have like the nice weather. We do get a little bit of like a change in like the leaves and things here. It is a little bit slower. It's not like in the up north, in Illinois where you're really gonna get the seasons kind of a thing, but we do get a little bit of seasons here, so I think the fall is the best time to come. Also, we have a lot of like spooky stuff. So if you're into like, we got a lot of ghost toury type stuff, which like it's not scary, but historical ghost tours. We Civil War history is big here, so we have a lot of that kind of a thing. Um, I think that's the best time to come. Summer, you came in May, and it was hot. It
Right.
was very hot. And summer is not much better. It's hot. It's humid. It's not great to be outside, but if you're going to the lake or you're gonna go, by the river, like it depends on who you are. Spring, I will say, We do get cicadas here, if that's something that's going to freak you out. Now, just be mindful of that. They're not going to eat you alive, but they do exist. Uh, but spring is another great time to come. And then in winter, I'm not going to say it's a bad time to come. I would not come when we have snow, because our town shuts down. Nobody can go to work. Nobody, so restaurants are going to be closed. All that kind of
Oh,
thing. Just
really?
it's the apocalypse. Yeah.
Yes, that's great to know. Well, I love the idea of being somewhere, with people, family, friends, whoever, and being in a place where you're kind of snowed in and you're just hanging out. I don't drive in the snow. I lived in Philadelphia my whole life. We get snow. I see them as days that, oh, I can't go anywhere, so I'm staying in. So it sounds cool, except with everything closed. I guess if you prepare properly, I could see being in a cabin in the snow and fireplace. But
Yeah.
if people are just in a panic, maybe that's not the place to be.
Yeah, I would say it's not the great time to come. People
No,
don't know how to drive in the snow here.
no,
So
no.
if you're going to go somewhere and it's snowing, I would go Illinois,
Right,
Minnesota,
right.
Wisconsin. Like, people know what they're doing. You got snow plows. You've got the help you need if something bad happens. But yeah, you can also hunker down.
Yeah, I could go to the Poconos an hour and a
Exactly.
half away from me. I could do that too.
I did want to mention too. So if you're thinking about coming to Nashville, look up some of like the influencers and also like some of the pages because they'll help you find cool things to do. So for instance, Do 615 is a great page, not only on Instagram and Facebook, but also like their website. As far as like events go, music, they kind of hit it all, right? So anything you're looking for, that's a great page for it. An influencer that I love in the area is Nashville with Caitlin, and she's fantastic. She does a lot of food reviews and things like that, but I just learned about a really cool like Vietnamese donut shop that we went and checked out. Very interesting donuts. They're like I can't even like describe them. They're almost like donut holes like stuck together. Like it looks totally different. Yeah, it just look up Nashville
Right.
with Caitlin. You'll
My
see it as
editor
one of
will
her
have to
more
put a
recent
picture.
videos.
My editor will have to put a picture of that in because now we're
Yeah, if
all
you're watching the
wondering.
video version,
Yes.
there's a picture right there for
There
you.
you go.
Um,
A donut with holes stuck
yeah,
together. Sounds
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So those are great because you'll learn about things like we just went to the Tomato Festival. I've lived here 7 years. I had no idea what that was. Tomato Festival in Nashville is it's a really old tradition apparently, but it's all about like celebrating the tomato. There's a lot of artwork that gets made, food that's tomato specific. They do a whole parade. People dress up like tomatoes like and I'm
wow.
not talking about like there's a few people dressed up like tomato. I'm talking about lots and lots of people dressed up in tomato gear, okay? Like crazy amounts.
Serious about their tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah, so much fun. But things like that, you're never gonna know unless you like it takes time. You gotta just pick out, find things and go searching for it. But we do events like that all the time. There's a town not too far, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour outside of Nashville. Their big thing is like donkeys, and they do a donkey festival or a bro festival or something like that. I might call it the ass festival. I can't remember. But
We say
yeah.
that on the podcast.
Yeah, can we
You'll have to
bleep that?
look. I mean, so much that I did not expect. So many things to do. I'm going to add, and we talked about it, but I'm not sure where Bowen Aqua, Tennessee is compared to Nashville. This is an area, people who live in Tennessee don't even know where it is. It's a very cool little town. So people that are traveling by car or RV, again, we'll put in the show notes where it's located. People could just Google it. But that is a very cool town for people to visit as well. So much great information. Before we continue, how can people reach out to you? How can people check out your podcast, check you out, and, just connect with you?
All of my socials are the Jacob Gooden, and Gooden is spelled Gooden. So everything from Instagram. I don't have Twitter, but every Instagram, Threads, YouTube, even my email is thejacobgooden@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to me, if you've got questions, like let me know. If you're coming to Nashville and you're just like, hey, I'm looking for something like this, let me know. I'm happy to be of assistance in any capacity I can be. And then, like you said, I also have a podcast. You're going to come on very soon, but it's called the Ex Homeschoolers Club. I talk with a bunch. I am an ex homeschooler, so I was homeschooled from second grade all the way through high school. But I talk with other homeschool kids who, yeah, we grew up in it, and we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. You know, some of us it was a really good experience, some of us it was not so great. What are the things we would change? I'm talking now with homeschool parents and learning more about like how's it changed. And then I'm having you on because you were a public school teacher, and I want to know like one what you thought about homeschool kids, but also like maybe public school wasn't as bad or as evil as a lot of us homeschool kids grew up believing it was. And so that's the Ex Homeschoolers Club on all podcast platforms and things like that. It's EX hyphen Homeschoolers Club, or you can find it on social media, EXHS Club. Yeah, that's my stuff.
And definitely, for those just listening, it'll be in the show notes. Wow, so much great information. I want to thank you for being on, for sharing so much about Nashville and the area. I'm sure we could go on and on. There's so much more. I know after this podcast, you are going to be saying, wow, I should have mentioned that, or I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
So we will put those things in the show notes. I want to thank my listeners for being on. And if you like the content moving forward, we are going to have coming up, we just had people on that I interviewed that talked about hidden gems. We are going to talk to somebody who is a father with his son who is autistic and how he traveled to all 50 states. He takes him internationally, how he manages that. Just an incredible guy that could share not only his experiences of places he's traveled to, but also ways to travel when, you have some challenges. We have so many incredible interviews coming up. So if you want to support the podcast, if you're interested, hit the follow button. Certainly share it with people you think could gain value. My goal, as I said in the beginning, is to inspire people to get out and travel, to get out and explore. So I want to thank you, Jacob, so much for being my editor, my producer, for putting up with me, for helping me through all of navigating this and just being such a great support and being on and helping my listeners to, get a better understanding of Nashville.
Of course, yeah, it's my pleasure. I think the main thing I want people to take away from this is that all of these things are things that are in my backyard. And there are so many things that are probably in your backyard that you don't even know about, right? I talked about the Tomato Festival. I've lived here 7 years. I just learned about it, right? Like, there's so much in your backyard that you can go explore. And adventure doesn't have to mean getting on a plane and flying halfway across the globe. It can literally mean getting in the car and driving 5 minutes down the street. Like, it is what you make it. Trying something new, whether it's a restaurant or a little experience or a museum or something. It's just doing something different, right? It's just doing a unique new thing that you've never done before.
And before we close out, I have one more quick question. Do you
Yeah.
have a tomato costume?
I don't because it was my first time going, but there are plans to go back next year. I don't know that I'm going to dress fully like a tomato. I might just be tomato inspired, but yes, the plan is to dress up next year.
Okay. And so we will make sure when you do that, when you get your costume together, we will share it with my audience for sure. I want to thank you, my listeners, for being on. And I want to remind you that travel isn't just about where you go, it's about how you live. And I'm reminding you to live life to the fullest every day.